Welcome back to Squawk Box. I want to show you something from the DealBook conference Wednesday because I spoke with PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan and asked him about the state of the league's deal with LIV.
It was very clear that the PGA Tour was facing an existential threat from a $700 billion sovereign wealth fund. And that sovereign wealth fund was determined to control the future of our sport. And so for us, we decided to address that by striking a deal that allowed the PGA Tour to remain and retain control with firm safeguards to put an end to and win expensive and divisive litigation. The deadline for our conversations with PIF is a firm target. I'll be with Yasser next week, and we continue to advance our conversations. And I think it's pretty well known that there's a large number of other interested parties.
It was one of the first times he really spoke about how that deal came together and the pressures that were on the PGA. But he also spoke about something that he's never really spoken out publicly about throughout all of this, which was, if you remember, a few days after the deal was announced, he took a months-long leave of absence, and he opened up about that challenging period for him yesterday for the first time. Take a look.
So on the morning of June 11th, I went for a long walk. I prayed. I came home, and to my wife's surprise, I said, "Honey, I need help." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I need help. I'm in a bad place." And at that point in time, Andrew, I knew I'm the first person to run into a fight. Anybody that knows me will tell you that. And I knew the perception was that I would run away from a fight. And that was excruciating. That hurt me to my core. But I'm also a human being. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a family member. And I realized that I had to get myself right.
There's a lot more of that, and it goes into great detail about checking himself into a facility, spending time, several weeks there, what it really means to have mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and how that manifests in somebody, and the courage it takes to have to call, in this case, the lead board member in the midst of something like this and say, I have a problem, and I'm going to not walk away, but I have the courage to say, I need your help, and not to worry that there's going to be a coup while you're gone, and people say you're weak. I mean, this is a big issue, I think, for a lot of people about sort of, if you actually do have an issue, can you raise your hand and say I have?
Follow his travails that closely, but prior to any of this happening, had he had any bouts with something similar, or was it all the pressure?
I think it was the pressure of this. I don't want to speak for him, but it sounded like this was not something that just came on in that week. It sounded like it had been building over several months, maybe related to all of this.
That was a very difficult time.
When you're not sleeping, when you're not eating, when you're not able to process or think about
a lot of criticism
anything.
About from 9/11 family. I mean, it was a weight of the world on his shoulder. And Mickelson versus Tiger, and it just and it's still going on.
What I will give him credit for, though, is not only seeking help, but then speaking about it.
The courage to speak about it, and I give him an enormous amount of credit. He wanted to talk about it. He wanted to go there.
To speak up and talk about these things so that other people feel like they can come forward and talk about it.
I think a lot of people...
Because this is a very lonely road that people feel.
It's a very lonely road. And I think there's a lot of people who have these moments of acute depression and acute anxiety. And we were even trying to understand and talk about sort of how when you know what to do. But
and Jay,
you should take a look at the whole thing, because you can really see that conversation.
That's not something
that he's spoken about
before.
Anywhere. And a lot of people have been asking what happened during that period. And
enormous pressure, though. That's why I was wondering if it really was from that almost almost not PTSD, but almost that instance which actually caused that.
I mean, just from what he said about saying people know me as somebody who runs into.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I've played with golf, and he's what a great guy. He loves his father, and No, that's what I wonder, because that was it's still unclear what the PGA Tour really is going to look like and what it should do, and should it be, what do they call it when the Saudis buy sports?
That's why it's all the more impressive that he said this now. It's not like things are resolved at this point. He's still willing to talk about it. Anyway, we wish him well.